How's it going, everybody? This is Splattercat, and welcome to my tutorial on Edge of Space, a game that's a bit like Terraria, except it has the added bonus of being sci-fi themed. And there's not a lot of tutorials around on this game, so I figured I would make one for anyone that picks it up on Desura. The game is in very early beta, so you'll have to forgive some of its little finagling things. It's nowhere near complete, and the developers have slated it, I think, for 2014 is really kind of the optimistic release date. But when you load into the game, this is what you're going to see for the first time. This is your little cosmonaut, and he's inside his basically cryogenic chamber. He wakes up in a hospitable planet. He has no clue why he's here. There's no real background. But here it is. And I'm going to go through kind of down here. If you look at the bottom right, you've got a toolbar, just like in Terraria. And you start out with some things. Number one is going to be your particle igniter, which is basically kind of a flame machine gun. It looks awesome, it shoots fire, sometimes it ignites things on fire and kind of gives them a dot, and is probably going to be your general purpose go-to weapon for the majority of your early gaming experience. Number two is a rocket launcher, which does splash damage. It doesn't have a sound effect yet. That is one of those things that will be forthcoming. Number three is your miniaturizer. Your miniaturizer, if you left-click things, it will turn them back into a form that can be collected into your inventory. And number four is probably the most important for any mining game. It is your laser pick. Now, if you left-click with your laser pick, it destroys tiles that are in the foreground. And if you left-click with your laser pick, it destroys things that are in the background. And I'm just going to take a moment here and start destroying some of these walls so that we can get some light in here. It's important to note that if you're destroying things in the background, they have to be adjacent to at least one empty tile. And for now, I'm using this little trick that you see here to light my entire little space pod instead of placing lights and doing power grids, which will be covered in future tutorials. I'm going to go ahead and destroy the walls now, and I think my mine is just going to branch off from here. You'll see that I did a little bit of a mining excursion up here earlier when I was playing around with the game, but there wasn't anything substantial there. And what I do like about Edge of Space is that everything in this game is actually useful, unlike games like Terraria and Minecraft where you end up with thousands of tons of dirt just clogging up your inventory. This game actually allows you to recombine the constituent atoms of any object to make it into a material that's useful. So basically, everything can be turned into something that you really want to use. Dirt, for example, can be turned into a plasticized compound, which can then be turned into a lamp, if you wanted to really have an example. In the early game, you're generally going to want to get a grip of material just to make stuff out of. So what I'm doing right here is just collecting some dirt, and I'm just going to get that as kind of a side bonus of this little mine shaft that I'm creating. And so being careful to always keep an empty space adjacent, because I don't have any lamps at the moment, I'll be able to keep mining this out. Now, some general keyboard controls you should be aware of. Spacebar is going to let you jump. Double tapping spacebar is going to let you use your jetpack. And if you look up in the top left corner here, you can see my jetpack fuel is going down. Now, it does come back. It recharges, which is good. You don't have to track down fuel or craft it. If you want to open the doors to your cryo chamber, you just mouse over and hit Q. And there you are, and you can open and close doors. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, right about now, Splattercat, I don't care about all this mining and whatnot. How do I build stuff? I'm a creative guy or gal. I just want to build structures. Well, if you wanted to do that, you have to take, basically, you're going to hit E to go to your inventory, and you've got raw materials. Now, you can see off camera, I've been doing some mining so that I can show you guys how to do this. I've got raw materials, so I've got 608 dirt. What do I do with it? Dirt's not particularly useful for anything. Well, you're going to hit the plus key on your keyboard, and it's going to bring up your refinery kit. Now you're going to take that dirt and drop it in the blue slot here, and it's going to spit out 608 O90s. Now, it's perfectly... I need to explain right here, you're not always going to get the same thing out of here. Sometimes it recombines into different items, so you might get IQ90s, for example, or you might get O90s, or you might get Leucides, or, you know, there's a number of different things that pop out the other end. But what is important to note here is the research type, or is the resource type. So if you look below here, it says inorganic, material, or dirt, permeability 16 points, and conductivity 58 points. Those points are going to come in later when we start building actual gear and items. Now everything turns into something different. So if I take rocks here, for example, I'm going to get Ivanel. which has different resource types attached to it. So it's going to be inorganic, mineral, or rock. And you can see from the stats here that it has a hardness of 14 points, a density of 26 points, absorption of 20 points, and toxicity of 21 points. Now, if you want to turn that into something useful, now you've got to go to your crafting screen. So we're going to hit the minus key here, and it's going to bring up our crafting screen. Now, as you can see, there's a number of things we can build here, but what we want is going to be all the way down at the bottom. We want to build some structures. So we're going to go all the way down to the bottom of the list here, and you can see that they've got structures for different things you can mine out of the ground. For now, we're going to go with a dirt structure, and I'm going to tell it that I want, let's say, oh boy, we got zombies coming in. Hold on. Once we take care of these fellows, there we are, open that back up, we're going to make a dirt structure, and we're going to make, say, 30 of them. It's going to tell you how many you need to make that 30 here, and it's also going to give you your requirements. It's just going to say 5 units of dirt. So we're going to put our Oneides in there, and we're going to click Science to do science, and it's going to give you this little cutscene here as it crafts things. And what we're going to get out of the back end is the craft was a success. We're going to complete it. And let's see here, where did it put that? It dropped it right here into our inventory. So using our mouse roller, we're going to go down, and if you right click, you can place it like so. And so now we've kind of got a dirt structure, and we can place those blocks wherever we'd like to. And so we'll just place those all along the top of here, so we've got a nice little dirt tunnel going on. Now we've got a strange tentacle beast over here, and this is an example of one of those things you can set on fire with your particle igniter. And so it caught a little dot there, and that little spider thing is going to drop antennas, which can be used as metals. Now right now, you're probably going, well, what if I don't want to build a house out of dirt? What if I don't want a mud hut? What if I want a super cool, futuristic looking titanium building, for example? Well, for that, you're going to have to start hunting other nodes, and this crab is tough. Why won't you die, crab? There we are. So we got a new schematic. If you want to learn a schematic, by the way, he dropped a schematic. You're going to drag it over to your inventory here. You're going to right-click it, and you're just going to say Learn, and it should add it to your recipe list. If you want to build things from something other than dirt, you're going to have to take a walk with me here. I've built this tunnel for a reason. Right here, you'll see that there's different tile sets. So this one right here is a hydrocarbon, or basically ice. You can turn that into a number of different materials. Right here, you'll see that there's a biomass node, which I like to think of as space poo. I've got some here in my inventory, and it's a source of permeability, and it can be turned into organic matter. Right here, this is an aluminum mine, so I'm just going to mine that out real quick, and it takes just a moment, but this aluminum mine is actually what we're looking for, because that's going to give us a nice little source of metal. And so once these tiles are all out of the way, make sure I collect as many as possible. We'll go down the line. This is a dark matter node. Dark matter has all kinds of crazy stats. It'll have radioactivity. It usually supplies huge amounts of varying, basically, stats for things you need to craft. I've already picked some up as a result of my mining, so I'm going to move forward to the next tile set. And that thing looks like it wants to electrify me. And you're never safe. You are never safe. And there we are. We shot it out of the sky, and it dropped a thingy. I don't know what it is. A weak charged goo. And down here is probably the most important one. This is a titanium node, so you're looking out for these, and you can build armor, you can build structures, you can build all kinds of cool stuff out of these nodes, which I'll go over next. So you've spent some time now just picking up random crap out of the ground, and you've turned it all into useful materials. So what do you do next? Well, what I like to do is just hit my minus key on my keyboard here, and if you take a look at your schematics, there's going to be one called the Schematic Generator MK2 Advanced. Now, if you don't have any metal, you're going to want to make the basic, but the process is going to be more or less the same. You're going to click Next here, and it says that it requires 10 units of inorganic, mineral, and metal material. So I'm going to take, let's see here, I'm going to take some of the Oliterita rug that I made out of my titanium and drop that into that slot, and I'm going to hit Science. And once this is stamped out, it's going to introduce us to the power system, which is something that I actually really like about this game. I'm going to drag that to my bar there, and to place an object, You just select it in your toolbar, and then you just left click where you want it to go. And there it is, and there's our advanced generator. Now what you want to notice at this point is that if you hit the P key, it opens the power interface. But that's not going to be important for the moment. So now that you have your generator in place, you're going to need some things to attach it to, which is basically going to introduce us to the power system, which is important in this game. Now I'm going to open up my crafting menu here, and I'm going to choose Dull Spotlight Basic. And I'm going to say I want 25 of those, seems about right. And it says that I need 2 units of inorganic or material matter, or mineral matter. And so I'm going to drop that O90s we got from the dirt and hit Science. And that once again brings me back to my point that I really do like the fact that you can take dirt, recombine its atoms, and turn it into something useful in this game. So you'll see down here we have our spotlights. We're going to go down to them, and we're going to place them. So we'll put one there, and I guess we'll put one on each side of this generator here. And then we'll also put one by each door. So now we have lamps in our house. Now how do you go about activating these lamps? Well, you're going to hit the P key, and you'll see that everything here has a positive and a negative aspect. So we're going to go here, and it looks like our power generator only puts out positives. You're going to click there, and you're going to click and hold on these positives and drag them over to the negatives. And it is possible to daisy chain these. So what we'll do is we'll place some walling here, and I'll show you how you can daisy chain some lights in your house. But as you can see, it's much more hospitable now. It's much brighter inside. So I've walled in my little mine shaft here now, and I've begun placing lights at regular intervals. So if we want to daisy chain these together, we're just going to hit the P key again, and you'll see that we've got a positive node coming out of these that isn't used, and we can just drag that to the negative node on the next unit. And in that manner, we can just keep daisy chaining things together. And this one hasn't attached to anything, so I guess I'll attach that to the negative. Actually, never mind. That's not going to work. Go away, light. I don't want you. There we are. I'll just blow you off the wall. I had discussed this before, but unfortunately we haven't found any schematics. So advanced crafting is going to require the use of the research types down in the bottom of the box here. So these things like permeability and conductivity have specific point values. And what I will do is I'll try and explain it verbally. So you would go to craft an item, and on top of, let's say here, let's say I'm going to make the Arclight 1000. It says that it requires 300 units of inorganic mineral material. So I can fulfill that requirement, but right here in this box on the right, it'll also say for advanced items that it might require, say, 500 surface energy, it may require some conductivity, and it may require maybe 500, 600 points of absorption or electronegativity or hardness, and you would have to go through your items and take a look at what their stats are, and you have to fulfill those points in order to have a successful craft. I hope this tutorial has been useful to you. There are a couple things that I want to talk about last. Have fun out there, just explore and look around. The game is in a very primitive state right now, so just run around and play with the sandbox for a bit, and make sure you swing through the forums and check out the game as well, talk to other people about it. Spread the word, because I do think this game is going to be a competitor with Starbound. Starbound has better monetary backing, but I have a good feeling about this game. I enjoy the art direction. One thing I failed to mention is that if you do want to change your character's equipment, because there is a lot of stuff in this game that you can craft in terms of new armors, new weapons, you just hit the C key and it's going to bring up your inventory here. And it's important to note that on the right, that's going to be your vanity items. Those are your vanity slots, and these are going to be your main slot items, actually what's actually equipped. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the near future. Take care out there.